Hi, Bucknuts readers, subscribers. I'm Patrick Murphy here with Steve Hellwagon. We are here after Ohio State's 73-57 loss to Iowa. Steve, we were talking earlier this week before the Michigan State game about this team kind of getting back on track, and now it's 3 straight losses for the Buckeyes. We'll get into the specifics on this game, but what are you seeing from this team right now? I mean, obviously playing so well, 7 straight wins. What was it, 10 of 11 or 11 of 12 or whatever. And it was looking like a team that could really make a run. These last few games, maybe the Michigan game isn't as bad of one because Michigan's very good and you only lose by a few. But these last couple games at least have been a real struggle for this team.
Yeah, there's a lot of things at play here, Patrick. And I mean, we could sit here for an hour or two probably and try and break through all of it. You're right. They played so well for so long. And now it just seems like they have hit a complete wall here in the last week or so. They played Michigan all the way down to the wire here just 1 week ago. 7 days ago, they lost to them. Was it 92-87, I think was the final score. And you just wonder if that took some starch out of them to falter at the end of the game like they did then. Then at Michigan State, like they dominate the game for 35 minutes, and you're like, even the commentators are like, man, they should be up 10, 15 points, and it's a 2-point game. They just could. Michigan State was just kind of like the gum on the bottom of their shoe. They just could not get rid of them. And they allowed Michigan State to hang around and hang around and hang around. And a bad call here, bad call there, bad shot here, bad shot there, allow Michigan State to steal it. I mean, they're down 1 with 2.5 to go at Michigan State. They're taking step back threes. Yeah. And you're like, no, that's not what you need there. You need to draw a foul going to the basket or get a layup or get a 2-point shot and keep playing. Keep playing. Don't try and end it in one shot. Well, here today, what you had was a team in Iowa that got decimated on Thursday night at Michigan, a 20-point loss. And I guarantee you from the moment that's been over until the moment this game started, they were probably happy to get out on the court for the warm-ups because Freeman McCaffrey was nowhere near them. He's a head coach. He doesn't come out and watch warm-ups. So that's probably the only time he's let them out of his sight in the last 2 days. And he has probably continually reminded them how pathetically awful they played in their game at Michigan. And they came out here today determined to put their season back on track. Meanwhile, Ohio State is like, well, we didn't play all that bad against Michigan and we lost. We had one bad turnover at the end. Then we got screwed against Michigan State. Now, I'm not speaking for the players or anything, but it's kind of a different mindset. You think, well, we didn't play all that bad. We only lost by 4. We must be doing something. But honestly, these last 2 games, it's kind of been stand around and watch E.J. Liddell and Dwayne Washington Jr. try and carry the team, and nobody else is stepping up. And it's become apparent that they are not getting production out of enough players here down the stretch. And, Iowa just came in here today, outworked them, out-toughed them, out-coached them, out-everything to Ohio State. The only good news we have coming out of this is Ohio State does not play another game for 6 days. Next Saturday, back here, last home game of the season, last game of the regular season against Illinois. It'll be at 4 o'clock next Saturday on ESPN. And they've taken what looked like a real promising season and potential for great seeding in both the Big Ten and the NCAA tournament, and they have pissed it away right here in the last week or so, and it has not been a good thing. Certainly, they are now very much in peril of having to go out to Indianapolis on Thursday as the number 5 seed and having to play like the winner of the 12-13 game just to play the 4 the next day, so on Friday. So they have really, really screwed this thing up here in the last 7 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's been talked about a lot, the potential for a number 1 seed. And even after these last couple losses, that still seemed possible. I imagine that will not be the case in the projections when they come out tomorrow. I think the big thing you talked about, stand around and watch E.J. Liddell, Dwayne Washington. Those guys have done their part for the most part. But the offense which has been so good. I mean, I think they're the 3rd best offensive efficiency team coming into today in the country, has just really stalled of late. I think the game against Michigan State was the first time since they lost to Purdue that they didn't score 70 points. Today, again, they don't even get to 60. You have a few guys get to double figures, but not shooting the ball well, 55% in the second half, which bumped their overall percentage up to 45%, but just not enough. You've talked about some of the shot selection at the end of the Michigan State game. For a team that's been so good offensively, what are the struggles here? Is it mental fatigue? Is it actual fatigue, or is there something bigger here that you see?
I think it's physical and mental fatigue, and I think that's crept into their play here. 13 turnovers in this game is a little bit uncharacteristic for them. They're usually around 10 or so, and let's see. I think Walker and Washington both had 4. And they were turning the ball over, trying to get the ball inside to Liddell, trying to force it inside to him. And, it was just a tough matchup, I think, for Ohio State. And you thought that coming in. I mean, they did well to win the game at Iowa, 89-85. But, whereas they kept a lid on Garza the first time around, that didn't happen this time around. I know 24 points, 11 rebounds. He was 10 of 16 from the floor. So basically anything he wanted, he got. And Joe Wieskamp, who's a very good player for them, hit 5 of 9 threes, and he finished up with 19 points. They didn't know where he was. And he's really about their only main three-point threat. So Garza hit 2 out of 3. But, the rest of them are all just kind of routine in terms of percentages. So the 2 guys who couldn't beat them, who you knew were their best 2 players, came in here and put on a clinic today. And Ohio State's got a lot of work to do. They got to get back to the drawing board. And, as we said, the best thing is they've got 6 days here to rest and regroup and get ready again.
Yeah, and we had our press conference with Chris Holtmann just a few minutes ago. He talked about, this team does need that time. He's mentioned that there's a number of guys, and he's talked about this throughout the season. There's a number of guys who either don't practice regularly or miss portions of practice, things like that. We knew Kyle Young, obviously battling the concussion issues from the Michigan game, missed last week, or the last game. He didn't practice all week, Holtmann said, and you could tell he didn't look like himself, I thought. But other guys are battling things here and there, and I don't think that's an excuse. Everybody's playing a lot of games this time of year. But you're right. This break heading into that Illinois game is going to be important. They're going to need not only to get guys healthy, but get guys back into a rhythm and try and find some of that success that was happening early here. We'll talk more about the Illinois game as we get through the week. But at this point, if you're looking at this game, knowing now that they've lost this game to Iowa, I assume that you have to win against Illinois if you still have any hope of that 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, right?
I think the 1 seed's probably out the window at this point because the issue is, everybody behind them lost this week on the AP poll. Ohio State lost twice, obviously Michigan State and Iowa here today. But all the teams behind them lost. One of them is going to move up. I don't know who, maybe Illinois, I don't know. But Ohio State's probably going to move down to the 8, 9, 10 range, I would think, somewhere around there. They still got a chance to get a 2 seed, but they need to beat Illinois. Yeah. And then they need to go to Indianapolis and win a game or 2 and go from there. So if they're able to do that, they would submit themselves, I think, as probably at least a 2 seed. And, they don't change the bracket a whole lot over the course of the tournament weekends. Pretty much etched in stone on Friday night when they all go to bed. What more can really be done in 2 games that wasn't already done in the first 28? Yeah. So I think that, I think a 1's probably out the window now. And they're not playing like a 1 anymore. They were playing like a 1 for a while, but not anymore.
Yeah. And I don't frankly know if it matters all that much, a 1 seed versus a 2 seed versus, it's going to be matchup based like it always is. And I'm, obviously you'd like to play worse seed to be a weaker opponent, 16 seed, but we've now seen 16 seeds win in the NCAA tournament. So, I don't know how big of a advantage that is. One thing, and we'll get out of here on this. I was doing a radio show last week, and one of the things that came up was, do they need to win in the Big Ten tournament to get to certain places? And a point I made was that, I think they'd like to win the Big Ten tournament just to bring home a trophy. They haven't done that in quite a while. They certainly haven't done it under Chris Holtmann. I think that would be something, you have this great season, you make it to this point, you want to bring something home. I think that a run in the Big Ten tournament, not only to help their seeding, but if you can win something, that's a real achievement for this team and for Chris Holtmann. That what were they picked to finish 7th in the conference?
Yeah. I agree with you. I think there's some benchmarks out there for this team and this program this year. They're probably not going to win the national championship. You can mark my words here late on February the 28th and come back and see me on April the 7th when they bring home the big one. But, I think that seems highly unlikely at this point, just based on the team we're watching take the court right now. They just simply didn't have it today. And they need this 6 days to get back on top of their game and come out with, you got to come out and play your best basketball in these games. I get it's important to have great practices and everything, but you can't leave your best game on the practice court. And again, as he said, guys haven't been able to practice a whole lot. I think it would be important for them to win a couple games in the Big Ten tournament, whether that puts them in the championship game or just gets them, to the semifinals, depending on their seed, whatever. That to me is very important, just to have some positive things happen. And I think the Sweet 16 is kind of the benchmark for me right now, Pat, because this program hasn't been to the Sweet 16 since they went to the Elite Eight in 2013, which was 8 years ago. And it's time. This is a team that's certainly good enough to do it. When you get outside the Big Ten, you will have an advantage because you will be battle-tested, ready to play any of the teams you're going to play, haven't played the kind of schedule that you've played, and probably aren't as good as you are either. So I think, at least for the first 3 rounds of the NCAA tournament, they're going to be favored if they advance that far in every game that they play, and then you take your shot in the 4th game to try and get to the Final Four if you're able to win. So to me, they got to put it together. They got to take the 6 days and put it to good use and come back ready to go on Saturday against Illinois, a team that is playing good ball. And they got a tough week themselves. They play Michigan on Tuesday, and then have to get back up to play Ohio State on Saturday. We'll see how they do.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get out of here. We'll have plenty of stuff. Steve's already got our game story up on Bucknuts. We'll have plenty of stuff from this and obviously throughout this week as we head into that Illinois game. So thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned to Bucknuts, and we'll talk to you guys soon.